Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today it is time to rank all of the new makeup that I tried in the month of November. Now, November, we didn't have a ton of new launches. I feel like it was a little bit slower, certainly compared to the last few months, but I feel like this is always the way. You know, August, September, October are always crazy for new launches, and then November is all about the Sephora sale, the Black Friday sales, and then December we have just sort of our year-end roundup. So I'm not surprised that November was a little bit slower. I did certainly try out some new things because I did shop the Sephora sale. I did also shop the Armani sale at the beginning of the month, and I imagine there will be some new things that creep in over the next week as I maybe take advantage of some Black Friday sales, but anything I get there will be a little too late to be featured in this video, so I will roll that into the end of December. But let's rank the 12 products that I tried in November. This is future Christy popping in because I realized I completely forgot a product. Luckily for me, this product would have been at the very bottom at number 13, so I can just pop it in here and not mess up the rest of my numbers. But this is the Huda Beauty Blush Filter Palettes. I reviewed two of these. I have Roseberry and Toasty Peach. I wanted to love these. I really like the outer packaging. I think it's beautiful. Now, these palettes come with 3 matte blushes and 1 highlighter or blush lighter, as she likes to call them. Honestly, I feel like the blush lighters ruin everything in these palettes. I do prefer the Toasty Peach palette. I think it's really beautiful. These matte blushes are supposed to have a blurring effect. I just don't think they do. I think her liquid blushes have a better blurring filter-like effect on the cheeks than these matte blushes. But I do think the mattes are still very, very pretty. I love all of the shades. In this one, we have Pink Velvet, Strawberry Cream, and Bronze Berry. Strawberry Cream I actually have in the liquid formula, and I love it so much. I also really love this shade, but this highlighter does not work for me, whether as a highlighter, as a blush topper. I really don't like it. I don't see myself reaching for a highlight shade like this day to day. It's just not going to work on my skin tone. Now with the Toasty Peach palette, this one does of course work a little bit better for my skin tone. We have Baby Coral up here, Spiced Tangerine, and Sunset Lychee. I actually love all of the blushes in here. Sunset Lychee is such a beautiful peachy pink. It's really, really stunning. This one in Baby Coral is also gorgeous. Spiced Tangerine is another really great bronzer looking shade. Now, when we do get into the summer months, I really want to try Spiced Tangerine with the Armani Fluid Sheer in shade 11 that I just purchased because I think that will make a gorgeous combo. But right now, I'm not going to be reaching for this shade as much, but I do love these two blushes on this side of the palette. The highlighter in this one is pretty. It has an iridescence to it, but I don't mind that. This one does work for me as a highlighter, but I do have to go in with a light hand or I think it can be too deep. So what it actually comes down to for me is I love the outer packaging. I like the matte blush formula. They're not as blurring as she says, but they are still a really nice formula, and I really like the shades. I like that they can be sheared out or built up. I think she did a nice job with that. The problem is these highlighters. The highlighters make it really hard for these palettes to work for every skin tone. We've got a range of blushes in each palette that goes from very light to quite a bit deeper, but then the highlighters throw everything off. I think these palettes would have held a lot more value had that highlighter been swapped out for just another blush shade, and we could have had maybe 2 matte blushes, 2 more glowy blushes, or just all mattes. I think either one would have been fine, but I do think the blush lighter takes away so much value from these palettes. So for that reason, I did put these at number 13. And let's get into the rest of the ranking. Coming in at number 12 is actually from R.e.m. Beauty, and they did send this over to me. This is their Sweetener foundation. I have the shade Fair 2N. The shade of this is a pretty good match for me. It is very fair. It does have a nice neutral undertone. It doesn't pull yellow or anything like that. I like the packaging. It's definitely a little bit more on the unique side. And just sort of the way that it's shaped, I do also feel like it's a little bit easier to store than some other foundations. It is just a plastic component as well, so it's not as heavy. I unfortunately don't love this foundation. I really like the coverage. This certainly gives me a high, medium to full coverage effect on the skin, which I really do like. But unfortunately, this just ended up being way too dry on my skin. We are going into the colder months. I do have dry skin, but there are just a lot of foundations that give me that high coverage without making me look parched. And unfortunately, this one is just a little too dry for me. And from this point on, the ranking actually gets a little bit tricky because I don't have any bad products to rank. But coming in at number 11 is a product I picked up during the Sephora savings event. This is from Estee Lauder. This is the Double Wear Stay in Place Concealer. Now, I purchased this one because Tati was raving about it, and I do trust a lot of her recommendations. She is also someone who diehard loves the Natasha Denona concealer like I do. And then she mentioned that this one kind of dethroned that one for her, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have to try this. And I like it. It's nice. It definitely gives me that nice high medium coverage while it's also like a very thin sort of serum concealer. It blends very, very well. It does seem to melt right into the skin and it does look quite nice. My only issue with this is that I do feel it can look a little bit dry on my under eyes. It doesn't look dry every single time, which is the tricky part. I think it's just one of those concealers that when I use this, I need to make sure that my under eyes receive a little extra attention when it comes to the prep. I usually try to do that anyway, but I have to make sure I do when I use this. This is a really, really nice one. Love the coverage, love the feel. I love how lightweight it is. It's just that when it dries down, it does end up looking a little bit dry on me sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. So I did drop it down just for that inconsistency. Coming in at number 10 is from Make Beauty. Now, this is a brand that I tried for the first time last month when they sent me a very generous package, and this month they sent me another package with their new brow products. So this is their Infinite Hold Sculpting Brow Gel. This is such a huge component for a brow gel. I think this will last me forever. I do think it's really pretty. I love the red. This does have a very large kind of doe foot for a brow gel. It's not as big as the Makeup by Mario, but it is a little bit large. On one side you do have longer bristles, and on the other side you do have the shorter bristles, which of course is ideal for being able to hold that gel but also comb it through the brows and also help to shape the brows. Now, this brow gel has a really strong hold to it, so some people might absolutely love this. I do have finer brow hairs that do tend to drop on me. They don't necessarily love to stay in place. And my absolute favorite brow gel has been the Rare Beauty because that one locks my brows in place. It keeps my fine brow hairs from falling, but it still lets them feel like brow hairs. It doesn't feel like I've got some sort of glue in my brows, and it never does that thing where the product sort of balls up and leaves little balls of product in the brow. Now, this doesn't ball up either, but this is a very, very strong hold. So if you like a laminated brow, this will do it. This will hold my brows in place, but they do sort of lose that touchable element. I would say the formula this reminds me of the very most would be the Makeup by Mario Brow Gel. They're just very, very similar in terms of hold, but you do get a lot more product with this. So if you are looking for a very firm hold brow gel and it doesn't bother you to feel the product in your brows, you might love this, and I would certainly recommend this over the Makeup by Mario. I actually love that one too. It's just that this one you get so much product, and it really does do a great job. I just had to drop it down because the other products in this ranking are so good, and this isn't beating my Rare Beauty. So that's why this one came in at number 10, but it is an excellent brow gel, and I certainly will enjoy using it up. Coming in at number 9 is a product that deserves to be higher, but again, I have so many good products this month. This is from MAC, and this is a part of their holiday collection. This is their Jelly Shine eyeshadow. This is in Sparkle Sparkle. I only picked up one shade of this, but this is just this cute little single shadow. This has a very, very similar effect to the Urban Decay Moondust shadows, and this shade in particular very much reminds me of Space Cowboy. It's just this very, very fine glitter, but it gives such a beautiful wet reflect to the eyes without being overly textured. It's such a lovely formula. I feel like MAC has often had drier feeling shimmer formulas, and I know they've recently released some more single shadows and in more intense formulas, and I haven't tried them yet, but I am very excited to. but this is such a beautiful formula. I haven't been this excited about something in their holiday collection in a while. If you want to use it as a one and done, you can do that. You can throw something in the crease and then throw this on and you're going to have a full look. It's going to be so beautiful. I highly, highly recommend these if you are interested in them or checking them out. I do highly recommend. Coming in at number 8 is from Rhode, and this is their pocket blush in the shade Tan Line. This was another Sephora savings event purchase. Most of these were. This one, I love the shade of this. This is such a good toasty blush shade that isn't orange. I do have very fair skin, and I also have a bit of a cooler undertone. So things that do tend to run in that more toasty realm typically tend to pull orange on me, and I just don't find that that is a tone that flatters me well. This has that perfect toasty element while leaning a little bit more rosy, so it's so flattering and so beautiful. It gives such a sun-kissed look to the cheeks. I really like this formula. I think this wears all day long on me. I haven't had any issues in terms of longevity. It applies so well. I've seen a lot of people just apply it to the cheeks and blend it out. I prefer to do my typical trick of just taking it off the stick with a brush. Not this brush, but I would just take it off with the brush and then apply it to the cheeks, and I think that looks so lovely. I really, really do love this. I don't think I need to immediately run out and purchase more shades of this, but I do think it's a really solid cream blush formula, but it's definitely the shade of this one and the exact tone that makes this special and that will keep me coming back to it. I am going to end up reaching for this so much in the summer when I want those more toasty looks. I do think the packaging is a little bit blocky, a little bit clunky, but the formula in this particular shade is so good. Okay, the next product is one that I was influenced to buy, but I'm so glad I did. So this is the Armani Fluid Sheer Glow Enhancer. Now, I was saying in my Sephora haul that I was heavily influenced to purchase this by Ashley Page. She's a creator that I follow on Instagram, and I love her content. I love her whole aesthetic. And she always recommends this. And I, for the longest time, thought that's not really a product that I'm going to use. It's also kind of deep, but this Sephora sale, I got convinced. So this is in the shade 11, but looking at this exact shade, you're probably agreeing with me. This is a little deep, especially for me. What on earth am I using this for? This is such a good bronzer. If you like a good bronzer moment, this is so good. You could use this just as a bronzer, but you can also use it under your powder, blush, and bronzer. You can mix it with your other cream products just to give your skin that extra bit of boost. And I love how this looks every single time. I've tried this a few different ways. So I have applied this exactly where I'd apply my blush and bronzer, and then gone in with my powder, blush, and bronzer. And what this kind of did was, even though I used a matte blush and bronzer on top, it still gave a soft radiance through those. So it wasn't glittery or intense or overly glowy, but it just maintained a bit of my skin's natural radiance through those products and kind of kept the powders from looking a little too powdery or a little too dry. So I loved how that looked. I also mixed this with my Rhode pocket blush, and even though this is supposed to be a glowy blush, I thought it gave such a beautiful effect to the cheeks as well. And I just have been having so much fun mixing this into my different products. I just think this is such a fun product. Do I think it's something that you absolutely need to have in your routine? No, but I do still think it's really, really nice, and I've been absolutely loving the effect it has on my skin. They do have quite a few shades. I think this is kind of their deepest one, but they also have a pink one that they call their blush booster. They also have some translucent ones. They also say you could mix their translucent ones with your foundation if that's what you want to do. You could do so much with this product. It's just very versatile, but I'm excited about this because it is that perfect bronzer tone. It's not too intense, even on my skin tone, and I love what it does underneath products. I love what it does when mixed with products. I just always love the effect it has on my skin. I love that it comes in a little pump. It's such a fantastic product, and I'm having so much fun playing with this. I am glad I finally decided to experiment a little bit with this, because for the longest time I thought I am never going to use something like that. I took the leap and now I love it. So I'm kind of glad I went ahead and purchased this one. Coming in at number 6 is the other part of the brow collection from Make Beauty. This is their Infinite Brow Nano Pencil. This is such a nice brow pencil. I haven't had a brow pencil in my rankings in such a long time. This is an incredibly fine micro tip pencil. I have the shade Warm Brown and it is perfect for me. So I have been sort of cheating my way through my brows a lot lately just because of my bangs. I can kind of get away with it. What I'll often do is throw in a brow gel, shape my brows, and call it a day. But I do have decent brows to begin with, so I don't really need to do much. I just like to fill in any areas that might be a little sparse. Sometimes that's right here, and they might just need a little bit of extra something, and this is perfect for that. And this is so fine that you want to make sure you don't roll it up too high because it will snap very easily. But it just gives me the finest little brow hairs, and I think it's so simple and easy. I really like this. It's not too waxy. It's easy to just draw in those hairs. And if you make a mistake, the spoolie easily spreads it. It almost has like a sort of powder dry down, so it just looks softer. It looks a little bit more natural. Again, I love that it's not overly waxy, and I can do my brow gel and then go in with this, and it's not hard to work with. I really don't think brow products are an area where you need to splurge, but I do really like this one if you love a really good microfine brow pencil. Coming in at number 5 is from Givenchy, and this is their Prism Libre Powder Bronzer. I have the lightest one, shade 1. I was so excited to see these finally come to Canada. I know these came out in Europe much earlier this year, but we just got them, I believe September. But this is such an interesting bronzer. You get 4 shades in here. You get a warmer shade, you get a more contour shade, you get this much more neutral tone, and then you get sort of the glow boost in this bottom corner. And it's such an interesting product because you can choose to really sculpt with this. You can just dip into this cool tone shade to contour, and then you can go into the warmer shade to really bronze, or you can just mix them all together, which is what I tend to do. This warm shade is pretty warm, but when I swirl everything together, it's not. It's a really nice tone. It comes out sort of similar to the lightest shade in my beloved Lancome bronzer. This shade here, it's kind of the radiance boost, but it's not overly glowy. I've heard a lot of people say that these run very light, but my skin tone is very light, so I do still find that this shows up quite well on me, but it's by no means too pigmented. It's light, but it is quite buildable for me, and it is a very finely milled formula as well. This is a really lovely formula. It's really expensive, and it does have a heavy fragrance to it, but I do think it's really lovely. Does it beat my Lancome bronzer? No. No, it doesn't. I am still reaching for my Lancome bronzer over everything else. There have been some other bronzer formulas that have come out this year that I've really truly just loved, but nothing has beat my Lancome bronzer. I really like this, but I don't like the fragrance to it, to be honest. I think the shade's great. I love how customizable it can be. I wish they'd keep these heavy fragrances out of the products, and it doesn't beat my Lancome. So for that reason, this is fantastic, but it is at number 5 because it doesn't beat my Lancome. Coming in at number 4 is the other concealer I tried out this month. This is from Armani. This is the Luminous Silk Perfect Glow Concealer. I picked up the shade 3.75. Now, I know this concealer's been out for such a long time. I finally tried out the Luminous Silk foundation back in the spring. I know that's been out for years, but after years of hearing people talk about it, I finally decided to try it, and I love the formula so much. It's one of those that gives me such a lovely coverage, but it feels super lightweight, and I don't have to powder it if I don't want to, but it never looks too dry on my dry skin. So I really love the formula. But I picked up shade 1.5 in the foundation, and it's so yellow. And then I found out that they did release some other shades, but they're not necessarily in order. So 3.75 is actually lighter than 1.5, and it is for fair skin with a cooler undertone like me. So this is my perfect shade. This is the concealer that I have on today. Again, I love this. This is a nice medium coverage, very lightweight, very silky. It blends out so easily, melts right into the skin. It never looks too heavy, and it just gives me the right amount of coverage. It's a fantastic concealer. This shade is 100% perfect as well. I think it actually reminds me the most of the new Makeup Forever Full Cover Concealer that I like. Very similar in consistency to that, but I do feel like the Makeup Forever gives me a little bit more coverage. I would say this feels maybe a little bit more hydrating than my beloved Natasha Denona, but that one gives me more coverage, and there's something about the way it blends out like butter and just looks so seamless that that's still my number one. But I do think this is a fantastic concealer, and I will absolutely use this up and get so much use out of it. I think it's fantastic. I'm kind of sad that it took me so many years to try it out. Coming in at number 3 is also from R.e.m. This is their peptide lip treatment. Now, R.e.m. did finally come to Sephora back in September, and I waited for the savings event to splurge. I was debating between the lip treatment or the lip tints. I do love a good lip treatment though, so I went with this. I got mine in Strawberry Glaze, and this really is just a clear lip treatment. My absolute favorite lip treatment is the Ole Henriksen Pout Preserve Peptide lip treatment. That is the very best. They have the best scents to them. They are so thick and buttery but not sticky. They're very, very glossy. They have a pretty tint, but they're just so deeply hydrating. I can notice a difference when I'm using those consistently, and I love them so much. I have also fallen head over heels for the R.e.m lip balms. I was sent a couple of those. I absolutely love those too. Those are very similar, but I would say the R.e.m is a little bit less glossy and maybe a little less thick, but no less hydrating. So I've really put those at number 2, and I would say the R.e.m has come in at a solid number 3 for me. These smell lovely. They feel lovely. They have that thick, buttery feel that the Ole Henriksen balms do. They last on the lips a good while, especially compared to some of the other lip balms that I've tried, and they just feel really nice, and I can feel the difference in hydration in my lips. I really do like their lip treatments. I'm glad I went with this over the lip tint, but like the Ole Henriksen and the R.e.m, I can really feel this deeply hydrating my lips. So I've really been enjoying this one from R.e.m. Coming in at number 2 is from MAC. This is their Dazzle Shadow Liquid. This is in the shade Everything is Sunshine. So I think what's happened here is they have redone their Dazzle Shadow Liquid Shadows, and I did not like the original Dazzle Shadow formula. I found it to be way too wet. I found it to be a little bit on the chunky side, and they didn't dry down on the lid, so they were just constantly moving around, whereas this formula is fantastic. So this is the shade Everything is Sunshine, so it's a really beautiful peachy champagne shade. This does feel really wet when you put it on the lids, but it will eventually dry down. And this also has a much finer glitter to it, so it is still very glittery and shiny and sparkly, but it's a much finer glitter, so it's not chunky like the original formula, which I very much appreciate. And I just have really enjoyed this formula. I do need to prime my lids when I put these on. I do have dry skin but oily eyelids, so my lids do tend to eat makeup if I'm not careful. So I do like to prime my lids and then maybe put on one of my Armani eye tints and then go in with this, and I think it makes such a pretty combo. This also gives you enough time to apply it, sort of blend the edges if that's what you want to do, and then let it set. And I would say it takes maybe a good 30 seconds to a minute to fully dry down, but once it does, it doesn't go anywhere. I have worn these all day long, and they still look just as beautiful at the very end of the day. So if they've gone ahead and reformulated all of these, I am so glad. I hated the original formula, but this formula is top notch. So good. I do want to buy more shades, especially now that their Black Friday sale is on. They do have 30% off for Black Friday, so I highly recommend these if you want a good sparkly liquid shadow. And my favorite product that I tried in the month of November is one that I really haven't put down. This is from Hung Van Gogh, and this is the Color Story eyeshadow palette in New Neutral. Now, he did come out with a huge line, I believe in September. I waited until the Sephora savings event to try anything, but I knew the palette I wanted to try is the New Neutral. So he's got so many different color stories. He has some really colorful ones. He has like a purple, a red, a blue, a green. He also has a very warm tone color story, a very gray, black leaning color story, but he also has this New Neutral, and this is so good. This is so good. This is my perfect blend of neutral browns that also have these sort of peachy shimmers. This is what I'm wearing today, and this is pretty much the look I've created every single time I use this palette because I love how it comes out so much. So what I keep doing is I take this shade in the crease, and this shade in particular, it does start out very, very light, but it is buildable, so you'll definitely be able to build and increase that depth, but it's not so intense right away. And then I'll go in with this shade, and this shade is very misleading because it is a dark brown, but it comes out a lot more intense. I find when you put it on the eyes, it looks much deeper. It confuses me every single time, but I go in with this shade and I sort of apply it near the lash line and sort of flick it out a little bit. And then I go in with this peachy shade all over the lid. I think it's so beautiful. It's such a brightening shade. And then I just go in with this shimmer right here to sort of mesh that shimmer into the outer corner shades. And then occasionally I'll go in with this deeper one to do a bit of an eyeshadowing. I haven't really played with these two shades very much. I don't know why. This sort of cream tone shade here I like to use to help blend the edges if I get a little crazy, but this palette has gotten so much love for me in the past month. I have really enjoyed this formula. I just feel like it's an overall very solid formula. The mattes are very smooth and buttery. They're so easy to work with. I would say this is easily a very beginner friendly formula. I also think the shimmers, this one in particular, is so smooth and buttery. These two bottom shades don't feel as smooth, but they still are so beautiful and sparkly, and I just love the look every single time I pull this palette out. It's never too intense. I could make it very intense and smoky if I wanted to, because you certainly do get some good depth with this palette, but it's just the perfect neutral everyday palette if you want. But you can also go so glam with this one, and I've been having so much fun. It's kind of just my perfect blend of super neutral shades. And I have been playing with red lips a lot lately. I'm just having so much fun with that going into the holidays. So I want a more neutral eye, and this gives me that every single time. So I've been having so much fun with this. I love this formula. I'm kind of interested to try some of his other color stories, but I love this one so much. I just think it's fantastic. But that is it. Those are all of the products that I tried out in the month of November. So let me know all of your thoughts down below. How was your month of November? Did you try anything new? Did you shop your stash? Did you find any new favorites during the Sephora savings event? Are you stocking up for Black Friday? Let me know all of your thoughts. I just love hearing from you guys so much. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.